So, welcome to this edition of 22nd Century Management with Ken. She's Cheryl.
And I'm not on 22nd Century Management.
Okay, old habits die hard. I have another podcast. So, actually, welcome to Friday Night Live. Do me a favor, let us know where you're watching from. Put it in the comments so we can get started. But she still is Cheryl.
And he still can, obviously.
Yeah, for what I'm worth. We're going to talk about the ports that we visited on our Panama Canal cruise. We had a really nice time on Emerald Princess. We're actually going to do something we don't normally do. We're going to share some pictures from our cruise. We had, like I said, it was just a very, very nice cruise. We started off in Grand Turk. And Grand Turk is now maybe my new favorite island. It is probably has some of the most beautiful beaches we've seen. I'm going to pop up. This is a picture of the beach that was right there by the port.
Looking down from the ship.
Yeah, we're looking down from the ship, and you can see how clear that water is. And the sand is just pristine. The water is incredibly clear. It's probably the most beautiful water. The only place it's been close has been Bimini, because the Bimini had some beautiful beaches and some beautiful water too.
Yeah, and I have to say that Grand Turk must be a very nice place to live, at least one of the safest places to live. They have almost no crime on the island. It's usually only petty theft, nothing more than that. And they said that the prisoners even have such a good time. They're looking out at the views. They're getting ready to move the prison to a less beautiful, a spot with less beautiful view, so that they'll feel that they should change their ways.
But yeah, we had and I'll show you our tour guide. That's
not the tour guide.
That's not our tour guide. No, this is our tour guide. And one of the things that made Grand Turk really easy for us, and for everybody that knows us, knows that we travel with some mobility challenges. Cheryl uses a wheelchair most of the time. She can walk a little bit, but we were able to rent this taxi for both of us for a tour. It was, 3 hours, 3.5 hours, something like that, probably.
A couple hours.
Yeah. And it was $70 for both of us. Plenty of room to put the wheelchair in the back. I won't say we had it to ourselves, because it is also a taxi. And so when we first got on, there were a couple that were going up about halfway up the island to go snorkeling or scuba diving. And so they rode with us up there. And then after that, we had the tour guide to ourselves. Let's see, find another picture here, because I had several. This one.
Oh.
This is a common sight on the island. These are wild donkeys, and they used to be used in the salt mines there. And we'll see a picture of that here. Actually, I'll go back to that picture in a minute, and we'll look at it. But this one, there were several in this area. This one knew that I was a sucker for, I would give it attention. So it came over and it wanted its ears scratched and wanted some attention from me several times during the visit. Absolutely fearless and very much non-aggressive.
Oh, another reason to move to Grand Turk, you don't need a lawnmower, because the donkeys will take care of that for you.
Yes, lots of donkeys on the island. We saw them everywhere. And this is the replica. It's not the actual capsule, but this is Friendship 7. Landed in the water there off of Grand Turk in 1962. It was part of the Mercury 7 mission. So this was one of the things that we saw here. We saw it actually. There was another replica in the port area. I'm not going to go through all the port areas. We're going to make videos on all of these, but they were quite proud of their small part in the American space program. And the one thing I would say about our guide, and it's what they're known for, is they're all very, very proud of their island. They love the island. Our guy was kind of like the local real estate guy. He was like, you can get a house here for $20,000. And I'm like, okay, $20,000. I could sell my house. How long could I live here? And the answer was a long time. But it was a beautiful place. It's a place, if I was a younger man, I'd be really interested in living in, I think.
And there are photo ops, like for the family. At this place, there's a fence all the way around it, but at the port area where the replica is, there's also a statue there and things that are great, made for photo ops. So in your wheelchair, you can just get off of the ship. You don't even have to go anywhere if you don't want to. Just go right there, just into the port area. and get a picture with you and your travelers. And so it's a nice little stop.
Yeah, the port area was really nice. They have that beach area that we saw from the ship, and that particular beach area is, like I said, it's part of. It looks like it's part of the port complex. You just get it right at the end of the dock. You hang a left, and you can go right out on the beach. The beach is free, but if you want, chairs and umbrellas and stuff, there's a small charge for those. There is a Margaritaville.
Not sure. I didn't.
Yeah, it was a Margaritaville there, and we did some video in and around it. There's a really nice pool in the area. Hey Pam, nice to see you here. We're not taking attendance, so you're okay. But so we really loved Grand Turk. That was our first stop on this cruise, and it was just absolutely. What were you trying to do?
I was just trying to replace the picture.
Oh.
I'm trying to learn this program too. So.
Yeah, it's live, so technical issues happen. But so let's go to our next stop, which was Cartagena. So let's do Cartagena. This in the port area in Cartagena, there is a small shopping area, and there was this aviary there, and to call it an aviary is a little misleading because it's not like these birds are confined. They're out and they do whatever they want to do. They just like to hang out here because there's lots of food. And this peacock was pretty busy strutting his stuff, trying to impress the ladies around. But the aviary, we had a good time with it. Like I said, really accessible. Lots of macaws. And it was funny with these macaws because they were noisy. I mean, you couldn't hear yourself think because they were all having this discussion about which was the prettiest macaw, and they all seemed to think that was them.
There must have been maybe 30 on one big long strip of wood, and they were all very, very noisy. But it was a lot of fun to listen and to watch them. And we got lots of photos. Yeah,
and let's see, in that same area
that was free. That's free. You just get off the ship and walk a ways. And they also have I think they had a free bus that would take you down to this area, but we just wanted some fresh air. It was a nice day, so we just walked down there.
Yeah, it's probably a quarter mile. It's an easy scooter ride. It wasn't a bad walk down. Now, I will say this. In Cartagena, there were not any accessible tours that we saw that would work for us. There are a lot of options in Cartagena. We could have gone outside the port and walked around. We elected to stay in the port. We kind of had some other things we wanted to get done that day on the ship, some videos we wanted to shoot. They had a picture of me as a younger person there.
Yeah, they had some monkeys there, but they were very, very shy. They don't want you to feed the monkeys because they want them to remain, afraid of people. It's better for them. And so they were a little hard to catch. They were moving pretty quick.
Yeah. But so they were that, and let's see what else. Do I have another Cartagena one? Also from Cartagena, there was an area where they had pink flamingos, and you could get right down, really close to them. If you got too close, they'd walk away a little bit, but they weren't really afraid of people.
Yeah, they had a gate. They had a walkway where you could look down on them. But then one of the attendants came over and pointed to us and opened the gate and said that we could go in there and get really close to them. They weren't really afraid of us.
Yeah, and this, like I said, this whole area was really accessible. There was nothing. We didn't run into any barriers that we couldn't get through.
No, yeah, I got in there with the birds too.
So yeah, we were really happy with Cartagena. We thought that in the port area, at least, it was safe. It was easy. There were, like I said, there's some shopping there.
Yeah, the shopping was fine, like any other port area. It was a smaller shopping area, but if you really wanted a souvenir from there, you could have found something nice.
Yeah, they had some leather goods, a lot of belts, and they had bags and things like that in the shops. And we'll have all of that in the videos that we're making about the ports. And for anybody that has questions, do me a favor, go ahead and put your questions in the chat box. We'll try to answer them.
Were the owls from there?
Who?
I've forgotten the owls.
No, our last stop on this cruise, we were supposed to go to Ocho Rios. Ocho Rios got canceled. I'm sure it was because we had too many passengers with COVID on board. Oh, actually, I say passengers. It might have been crew. But our last stop was Puerto Limon. And in Puerto Limon, we got off and actually wandered around town. And right near the port, just as you come out of the port and to the right, about a half a block, is a big park. And the park has some nature in it. So this is a picture of a sloth and her baby. They were way up in the tree, getting a nap or at least getting a rest. They were not moving at all. Cheryl got that picture of them. The other thing that we saw in that park,
oh yeah, that was where that was.
were these owls. And Cheryl got a really nice picture of these two owls. They were sitting up there. Now, I will say this, if you go to the park, actually, as you go start to come out of the terminal, there will be lots of people there offering tours. And I wouldn't have felt worried about taking them, but we'd already decided that in Puerto Limon, we were just going to go over to do a little research on the port. And the enrichment guy on the ship, he talked about the fact that, there was a grocery store pretty close. So we went over to the grocery store, brought back some coffee. Cheryl brought back some interesting things, and you'll see them in the video. But they have they're like puzzle jewelry boxes.
Yeah, they'll hold like a small ring or some little small heirloom type jewelry piece. But they're like 4 or 5 pieces that slide together in unusual ways, and they're shaped like fish or birds or things like that, butterflies. So it was a lot of fun to shop for those, and they were only $4 there, and I'm sure they're worth more than that.
Yeah, so we Cheryl got some of those for family members when we got home. Like I said, there'll be a full video on our canal transit in the Panama Canal. When they stopped in Gatun Lake, there was about 700 passengers. Yeah, they are pretty, Pam. There were about 700 passengers that got off and took tours. Now, we waited for them in Cristobal, and Cristobal is a port, but it is a cargo port. I won't say you couldn't get to somewhere. We had no desire to try because, first of all, it was kind of late in the day when we got there. It was way after dark when we left, and like I said, they were busy unloading ships all around us. So it's a working port. They were just there for people off the ship to come back and off that had taken tours to come back.
Oh, why don't you go get I kept one of the little boxes
Okay.
up on my shelf, and I'll tell them about. I learned a fun fact about owls today on the radio. They have a little fun fact show on one of the radio stations here, and it said that owl eyes are not like human eyes. Like ours are like an eyeball, and it moves around, from side to side, but owl eyes are actually either like cone-shaped or cylinder-shaped, and they're actually attached to the bone in such a way that owl eyes don't move at all. But owls are able to move their heads 270 degrees to the left or to the right and 90 degrees up and down. And I thought that was pretty interesting. They don't have eyeballs really like we do. This is quite a bit different. And I'll show you this. Rings in there. I'll show you but here's one of the boxes, and it's a part right here. And then there should be 4 pieces, right?
Yeah.
So I believe it might take me a minute to put it together because I've only taken it apart a couple times. Oh, this one. I think this goes next right here somehow. Wait. No, it does. This way. Okay. It's nice. They each have like a little holder where you can put the piece in. There you go. So here.
Hold it up higher.
Here's the empty one. And this piece goes like that. And then this piece slides on the top. And then this one goes over here on the side. Is perch here. So it's kind of interesting. But here's my favorite one. It was a parrot. So I got that one for myself.
But and for you, Nancy, I will not get the videos posted that fast because it takes a lot of time and energy to edit them. But I will answer questions. We had, like I said, a very good time. We enjoyed it. There were a lot of choices. I would say Puerto Limon had the most choices and the most interesting tours that were available. Now, in our case, because of Cheryl's mobility challenges, there were only a few that were open, and the few that would work for her all involved a tram. And besides not liking or having some mobility challenges. She very much does not like heights. So it was like, okay, this does not work.
Yeah, they had, and some of the places, like I don't like caves and I don't like trams, so that limits some of the things you can do. Um, oh, I was gonna say the thing about Costa Limon
Puerto
was,
Limon.
I mean, yeah, it that you don't. I saw when we were out shopping. Like the guide the day before told us where you could get pharmacy stuff, where you could get the grocery store stuff, and then of course right there, and then and a chocolate. There's a chocolate place right across.
Yeah,
the
right
street
across
from
the street from the port.
So I saw a lot of people taking the tours, and they were going to the same places we just Ken pushed me to. It wasn't that far in town to get to a lot of those places. The grocery store was called Mas or Menos. And it's a little crowded with the wheelchair, but we made it. And we bought some chocolate things and some like chocolate covered berries and coffee at a really good price. And we looked for vanilla, but the vanilla was all sold out.
Yeah, but so we had, like I said, if I was going to spend money on a tour, I would probably either do something from the Panama Canal. We looked at in the Panama Canal, the one tour that really interested me was a transit all the way to the Pacific, and you get on a ferry and they go down the old locks all the way to the Pacific, and then you catch a bus and come back. The problem with it, and the reason we didn't take that one, was for Cheryl, it was like 6 hours of sitting, and that's very hard for her. And secondly, the ferry did not have an accessible restroom on board. It did have a restroom, but we've had recent experiences where an accessible restroom was pretty important and wasn't very accessible. So that was one of the things reason we made that decision.
Yeah, I think it was more like a sailboat restroom, which is like the hole down in the bottom of the boat.
Yeah.
It's a little hard to get down there.
But there were some others. The guide recommended you could go into a native village and get, basically meet people that live like they lived a couple hundred years ago. And that was again a boat and a bus ride, and it just none of the excursions out of the Panama Canal were short. Typically, they were 4 to 6 hours, and some of them were much more than that because we didn't leave the Cristobal until probably 8:30 or 9 o'clock at night.
But for those of us who stayed on the ship, it actually worked out because then on the way down through the locks, back down through, coming out, while they're all on their excursions, we were able to get a prime spot for videoing leaving the
for the journey down the lock. But like I said, it was a trip that I would classify as a bucket list trip. I've always been interested in going through the Panama Canal. I'm hoping sometime to make a full transit, but I would love to go back. It was just an incredible experience.
Yeah, it was. I enjoyed all the ports that we went to. They were all different ports for us, and the Panama Canal it's the Panama Canal is one of those things. If you're handicapped and you can't do the excursions, like we didn't really do but one excursion, we still loved the trip. It was still a lot of fun. If you like animals, if you like fresh air, if you like shopping the little things to see what finding new finds. Then you'll really like the Panama Canal trip. You'll really have a good time.
And we did see a crocodile in the Panama Canal, and we saw they tell you that the Panama Canal, the sides of it are lined with fishermen. They're all pelicans, but they're all looking and hoping that when the locks open and close, that it disturbs the fish enough that there's some get disoriented and close to the surface, and they get a free lunch. So that was pretty interesting. For those of you that have not subscribed, in other words, your subscribe button on YouTube is red. I'd really appreciate it if you'd hit it and turn it gray. When you subscribe to my channel, it helps a lot, and I always appreciate that.
And then I learned an interesting. We learned an interesting fact there. I was really afraid the Panama Canal would have a lot of mosquitoes, and but no, the way it was designed, the man who designed it, he designed it such a way where everything are smooth, curved surfaces that run down to the water. And this is true. When you look, they keep the grounds just impeccably smooth and clean, and everything runs down. And we didn't have any mosquito bites. And then the guide also told us that the same man who designed that for them designed the mosquito-less areas for Disney World. So that was really interesting. I thought that was interesting, and it made me feel. After that, I didn't worry too much about the mosquitoes there.
Yeah, she is mosquito bait. There could be a mosquito within 10 miles. It'll find her and chew on her. Whereas me, they all know I taste bad, so they don't bother me at all.
They know they'll die.
Yeah. Well, it's like bugs. If I get sick, whatever bit me is going to die, because I just don't get sick. I don't get mosquito bit very much. We have a couple of things that I'm going to share in the way of announcements coming up. We're just about done with the redesign of our website, and so we'll starting to publish blogs again. That should happen probably in the next few days. We did a bunch of work on it today, just a little more, so that's going kind of exciting. The other thing that I'll share for everybody that travels with challenges is we're starting the process of putting together a directory. And this will be a global directory of travel providers that accommodate disabilities in various sizes and shapes. I've already got some major companies that are wanting to be listed on the site. It's just a matter of me getting the work done. So I'm working on both of those projects, but very quickly we'll have both of those resources available for people to try to provide some help. The directory is going to be free for everybody that wants to go searching, and I'm looking, like I said, to make it a global resource, because there's not anything really good out there, and there's nothing that talks about, if it does say accessible, it may not include what kinds of accessibility. So, part of the listing structure will be such as that it lists things like, for example, autism, blindness, deaf, mobility challenges, trying to make sure that, that we make the resource as valuable as possible to those that struggle with travel. I saw a quote that I loved the other day. It said that, that travel is like reading a book, and people that don't travel only read one page. And, Cheryl and I's goal is to try to make it possible for people to read as many pages of the travel book as possible. We love to go, and we know a lot of people love to go as well. So we're going to try to do what we can to help with that.
Oh, and then in Costa Rica at that Puerto Limon.
Yeah.
The streets there remind me a little bit of Juarez, where we had lived in El Paso for 10 years. And so it's the streets that you'll get to a curb and you just can't get off that way. You have to go off another way. You should really have somebody with you to help you with your wheelchair, because there'll be places where it's a little bumpy or something's missing. But for the most part, yeah, the park was not too bad. And if you had to, when there's no traffic right there, you could jump out on the street and go down a ways and get back on. But and the grocery store was only about probably four blocks kind of diagonally out from the port, so from the ship. So that wasn't too bad.
Yeah, we brought coffee back from Costa Rica. Again, coffee is one of their major crops, and so we brought coffee back for some friends. I did have to tell them that I didn't know if it was great coffee or floor sweepings, because I couldn't read the label well enough to know for sure what it was. But hopefully they'll enjoy it. But we liked all of the ports, the things we did. And that's one of the things that I would encourage is especially for those that deal with challenges getting around, is just do your research. And if you ever have questions about any place we've been, you can feel free to message me in a video. I would be glad to try to answer, do what I can to help. Pam's laughing at me.
And then the other thing I want to say, if you are leaving, like Nancy's leaving soon, what Ken and I are doing is we're wearing KN95 masks right now anywhere we go, whether even just in our own neighborhoods, whatever we're doing, and we're going to do that until this Omicron thing is passed. Might be like 2 months. It is more expensive. I had already made us personal masks that fit us really well, like 3 layers cloth, but we just decided, well, if we don't want to ruin our trip, we're just going to wear the mask. And on the ship, we were wearing the mask pretty much unless we were eating. And if you're watching a show, you just pull it up, get a sip, put it back down. But the KN95s are supposed to be better, so that's what we're doing.
Yeah, and again, like I said, this was our 7th cruise this year. So it's obvious that we don't feel that cruising is unsafe. I tell people that give me a hard time about it, that there's nowhere in my town I can go where everybody's vaccinated and tested. Does that mean there won't be COVID on the ship? No, it doesn't mean that. And please don't take it like I'm saying, hey, you're perfectly safe. But I do believe that you're safer than most places in your own town, and that if you exercise precautions, you're careful, the odds are really good that you're going to be able to travel. We have right now, we have 4 more cruises on the board. So we're still planning on going. We're not slowing down, and that's between now and April.
Hopefully,
Yeah.
hopefully we won't get stopped by something. And even with your mask, you could still get something. Like today, I went to the dentist, so I'm just hoping that a week from now, I still feel this good.
Yeah, we're hoping she doesn't test positive, but she's going to have a lonely week because I'm not sure I'm staying.
In my group, I don't think they'll take you.
Any questions on the ports? Anything that you want to know that we might be able to answer for you? I appreciate everybody being here and watching the show. Oh, by the way, while we're looking for questions, where are we going? Okay, so we have some really cool trips coming up. The first trip is we leave a week from tomorrow, and we're going to Aruba. And then we're going to Bonaire, and we're going to Puerto Plata and La Romana in the Dominican Republic. Now, Bonaire is going to be really cool because we have arranged there's a gentleman that has a wheelchair accessible van. You can take up to 6 people. So we're going with him. He's going to give us a tour of the island. Bonaire has again, lots of flamingos. They have a interesting history in salt mining. Salt mining is still a big thing there. In Grand Turk, they stopped the salt mining, but in Bonaire, it's still a big thing. We're not really sure yet on what we're going to do. We found a tour bus that we can get the wheelchairs in, like fold them up and put them in for Aruba. And then we get back middle of February, we're headed to we're going to fly to Barbados. We're going to spend like 3 nights in Barbados and do some sightseeing in Barbados before we get on the ship. Then we're on the Royal Caribbean's Grandeur of the Seas, and we're going to go to, we're going back to Aruba for 2 days. We're going to Grenada, and I'm working right now trying to make Grenada work, because on Grenada, there is a company that does accessible scuba diving.
And we used to scuba dive years ago, so we want to do this again.
And they actually teach accessible scuba diving to quadriplegics. You have to have a partner to dive with you, obviously, because you can't move. But it's it's pretty cool. They have a really nice operation. They have accessible taxis on Bonaire. So we're trying to get that set up. The scuba is the question of whether or not they'll consider that a bubble tour. Because right now on Bonaire, you have to stay on a bubble tour. But I talked to their tourism authority today. They're going to be able to do in Grenada. Yeah, I said Bonaire, but Grenada. Anyway, so we're going to be able to do some touring there. So we're looking forward to that. That's going to be a fun trip. We have a couple of other, it's not Antigua, but one of the other small islands in that area. So we're going to be basically at an island every day. I don't think there's any sea days on that 7-day cruise. Then we come back, and in March, we're going on the Scarlet Lady. So for those of you that have been wondering about it, an adults only, and not in the sense of adult film only, but for no children environment, we're going to be on board the Scarlet Lady. I think we'll be the first people on board with a wheelchair. So we're looking forward to seeing that ship and seeing how it works. We are challenged on that cruise, though, because we try to eat at every eating venue. It's a 5-day cruise. They have 20 some odd restaurants.
Have to just get dessert at one and the main course at another.
I'm not sure. They may need a cargo net to get me off. We'll have to see how that goes. And then right now it looks like we may have a chance to be on one of the new Princess ship in the March timeframe as well. We're waiting on the exact dates on that. But we have a lot of things coming up that we're really looking forward to. Hoping that you guys will benefit. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see that, Pam, how it works. The ports were not particularly. We're going back to Bimini, and one of the things on Bimini, the beach club that the Scarlet Lady uses, actually, I think it's at least leased to Virgin Voyages, they have an accessible mat they roll out so you can get very close to the water. I did not see a beach wheelchair. We'll know more when we go, but we're looking forward to that as well. That'll be interesting. And then we're going to be at the there's a trade show for travel agents. We'll be there at the right after the Scarlet Lady voyage. So we have a lot of things in the pipeline, but then we're going to slow down. It'll be garden season here, and I'm a big gardener, so we'll have a few months to try to catch up on videos because I'm still working on videos from September of last year. So, there'll be some new videos. I'll do some Emerald Lady videos. Probably try to get one out tomorrow. But
Emerald Princess.
Yeah. What did I say? Emerald Lady.
Princess.
Yeah. Emerald Princess.
It's late for us here
Yeah.
on the East Coast, old people.
It's been a busy day. And as the show said, we're old. Anyway, so thanks for being with us tonight. I hope you found some information useful. We are live like I said, next week we'll be live from the hotel before we get on the Carnival Horizon. And the Horizon will be the first passengers on the Horizon since she had at least a minor refit in Italy. They had to do some engine work. So Carnival canceled some cruises. That's the first cruise back. It's got a brand new paint job. Looks like the Mardi Gras paint job. So we're looking forward to seeing what's on board. This will be our first time on that ship and on that class of ship. So it'll be lots of fun. Yeah, you're right, Pam. Senior moments.
Yeah.
And the more senior you get, the more of those moments you seem to have.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, thanks everybody for watching. We appreciate it. And we will see everybody next week from Miami, but we will be live Friday night.
Bye.
Bye-bye.